Welcome or welcome back to Life on the Fringe. Today we're going to be checking out how to adopt a hamster. We're going to be checking out 4 different ways you can adopt a hamster. The first is Pet Finder. The second is trying to find a rescue, an animal shelter, a humane society, a hamster rescue that has hamsters available for adoption. And the third and fourth way are Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, respectively. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first place that you should start looking for a hamster is Pet Finder. I made a video in the past about how to adopt a hamster, and this is where I've changed. Before I said you should start on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist because you might be more likely to find a hamster closer to you that's available for adoption on those sites. That being said, I really think that Pet Finder is the way to go. Because Pet Finder will connect you to a animal shelter or rescue that has hamsters up for adoption. And I think for going forward, like the best way that we can help the most amount of hamsters is by adopting through Hamster Rescues. I recommend going through a rescue for a number of reasons. The first is that they're going to be more professional. By going through a rescue, you are taking a hamster that needs a home still. You're still doing your part, but then you're opening up a spot for another hamster to be rescued. Versus if you rescue a hamster, that's great. I'm not downplaying that. I have rescued a hamster off of Facebook Marketplace. I'll talk about that more later. If you want to see a whole video on that process, you can look up here. But there's not then immediately another hamster that's being taken in and rescued. Versus if you go from a rescue, that spot gets opened, another hamster gets to be rescued. So I think that's the main benefit. Ideally, everyone who gives up a pet should take it to a shelter that takes in the pet. You know, that's the kind of cycle we want to be rewarding, and as adopters, we can help that cycle by showing and supporting rescues. And Pet Finder is a way to find rescues. So what is Pet Finder? Basically, if you are a rescue, you can put your animals up onto Pet Finder so that people can see all of the animals available for adoption in one centralized location, and then you pick your animal and it will direct you to the rescue where it's available at. This is a big change. Before, you would have to Google Maps, look to see what are animal rescues near you, then see if they have any hamsters available. And a lot of times they don't. They either only adopt off dogs and cats, or they occasionally take in a hamster, but they don't have any right now, etc., etc. So I really suggest starting with Pet Finder. So first you type in that you want small and furry, so small and furry. Then you pick a radius for how far are you willing to drive. So for this I put in 100 miles. And then you put in your zip code. Finally, you enter in the type of species that you want, and you put in hamster. Once you've entered in all of that criteria, what you're left with is the hamsters that are within the radius that you are willing to drive. The closest one to us is really this one because there's no picture here. So if I click this one, you'll see that it's from the Northeast Animal Rescue in Philadelphia. Once you have picked a hamster that you like, you can check it out by looking at its pictures. But then also there'll be a paragraph kind of explaining that hamster. And again, because you're working with a rescue, they'll typically put in good information here. So for example, in this paragraph, they let you know Jewel is timid. So maybe if you're looking for a super social hamster, Jewel is not the right hamster. But they say, likes jungle gyms, willing to explore. So maybe if you prefer hamsters that really like setting up playpens, you really like environmental enrichment, foraging, maybe this is the perfect fit for you. And like I said, they're more knowledgeable about hamsters, so they'll tell you a little bit about hamsters in general. Of course, before you adopt or shop for a hamster, you definitely want to look up hamster care on your own. But regardless, they will give you information as well. Once you've picked a hamster, it'll tell you what your next step is within the paragraph. Because these are each working with different rescues, their adoption process is going to differ, rescue to rescue. But in general, you fill out an application, and then maybe you'll have an interview over Zoom or a phone call, or maybe you have to go into the shelter, or maybe in your application you have to take pictures of your setup, and then you go and pick up the hamster. Another benefit to working with a rescue and finding them through Pet Finder is they're going to want to support you, and if the hamster that you want is no longer available for adoption and they just haven't updated their site, they're going to have other hamsters that are available for adoption, most likely. For example, we were looking at a hamster on Pet Finder, and they were no longer available for adoption, but they were able to show us another hamster that we liked, and we're going to adopt them this weekend, so that's great. I'm looking forward to meeting the hamster. But this is like what I said, I think this is the best way to adopt a hamster if you're looking to maximize your help for hamsters, so long as there are, like I said, hamsters available here. If there aren't, you can find hamsters up for adoption on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, despite their policies saying that they don't allow animal sales on their sites. There are fewer, like I said, than there were before, because they've really started to crack down on this practice. I think to encourage people to take their hamsters to shelters, which is definitely a good thing. But some people either don't care or don't have a shelter near them, and so they put them up for adoption on Facebook Marketplace. So you kind of have to be a detective when adopting a hamster off of Facebook Marketplace. So you can type in hamster, you can also type in hamster cage, and then you start digging. So how do you know which to even click on? I would recommend clicking on the ones that have bedding inside the picture, because maybe if there's bedding, maybe there's a hamster. Or like this one, what is this? Is it a hamster? Click on it, find out. I found this hamster, which is about half an hour from us. The hamster is right here. And they've just listed theirs under hamster, but typically they'll say hamster cage, everything included, and then in the mini description will say including hamster. And sometimes they'll have a picture, but they won't say anything about it in their description. Again, people are trying to hide that they're putting their hamster up for sale, so you might have to message them directly and say, hey, I saw there's a hamster in your cage, is it included? Or if there's bedding in the cage but no hamster, you could reach out and say, hey, is the hamster included in this? You're kind of a detective here, but typically there will be one that's fairly obvious, like this one, that the hamster is included as well as the cage. So like I said, you reach out, you message them. My only real tip here is, because you are not dealing with professionals, you have to bring your best people skills to the table, and you also have to bring in a lot of patience. Sometimes you'll inquire about a hamster and either they're no longer available, or maybe they're unwilling to sell you a hamster. For example, if they have 2 for sale, maybe they'll only want to sell both of them together. So even though you know that you should separate the hamster, they're not willing to separate the hamster, then it's out of your hands. And that can be very disheartening, but there's nothing you can do. You can try to politely educate, but sometimes people just aren't willing to listen. So once you message them, they'll tell you, where to pick them up, and you pick them up, you take them back, and you throw out the cage. Don't give it to Goodwill. Don't sell it yourself, unless it's like a kitty critter trail or a cage that can be, converted into a carrier. The best thing you can do for the hamster is to get rid of the cage. Recycle it. If you sell it, then you're just... another hamster's going in that cage. That's not a good cage for any hamster or any creature. Recycle it. Get rid of it. Finally, the last place you can look is Craigslist. Same goes for Facebook Marketplace. I typed in hamsters. I found this. They have 2 up for adoption. They are housed separately in the picture, which is good. But, they're $60 instead of the $20 that the other one was. You just have to check everywhere and see what's going to be for the best. As with the other one, the cage is too small. You're still doing a good thing. And let's say, if you want to be more involved directly in the rescue of the hamster rather than going through a rescue, I feel like that's fine. We're all trying to do our best for hamsters. And like I said, I've gotten a hamster off Facebook Marketplace. I'm currently getting one through a rescue that I found on Pet Finder. And I've also bought hamsters from the store. We all still care about hamsters. That's not really the point of the video. It's just what I think is the best way to go about adopting a hamster and how you can do it on these different sites. So I want to summarize Pet Finder, finding a shelter or checking the shelters near you, Facebook Marketplace, and Craigslist. And as a little bonus, sometimes Petco or PetSmart have hamsters that have been returned up for adoption, but you have to call the PetSmart and Petco's near you to see if they have any available at the stores near you. And I don't know if every PetSmart or every Petco does this. I just know sometimes some of them do. And I don't have any experience with it, which is why I'm not talking about it more. But it's another avenue you can check before going to the store. But anyhow, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of our videos, click subscribe, ding the bell button to know when we post. If you have any adoption stories of your own, if you've adopted a hamster, how have you done it? Do you have any tips and tricks for people looking to adopt? Leave them down below if you have any questions as well. But most importantly, I really hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!